Hello Dragonflies, I'm Lynn, welcome back. This video is a follow-up to the previous video, which was about how to lay flat and graded washes. We laid 3 washes in that video, and I promised I would talk to you about what to do if they don't come out the way you liked the first time. So in this video we're going to talk about glazing, which is adding another layer of color on top of a previous dry layer of paint to change or modify the underlying color. So here I have a wash that I wasn't very happy with. Didn't come out the way I wanted. So let's talk about how to make an adjustment to this. So what I would have preferred here is to have my pink come farther down and have this be more of an orange, pinky orange tone instead of this pale salmon color. And I'd like this to be a little bit more of a purple tone. So I'm going to actually modify both of these colors by adding another layer of paint. This is called glazing, and glazing from glass. So think of it as putting another layer of colored glass on top of your previous layer. Because watercolor is transparent, we can add layers and you can still see the previous layer through the new layer. Now, I want to caution you, you should make sure that the previous layer is completely dry. If this is not completely dry and the paint is not held by the fibers of the paper yet, then when I start putting more water on top, I may move my previous layer. In fact, if I fiddle around and let it sit a little bit wet and then get my brush in there or go back and forth, I may still move the previous layer. So we want to be disciplined to just keep our bead moving down the page like we did before. So I've decided I want more of a purple tone up in the top. I have pink already, so if I were to add a little bit of blue on top of that, that would take it more towards a purple. So I'm going to mix a blue wash. Nice puddle of blue paint here. Kind of a pale puddle. I don't want to make it too blue. I want to still see that pink through it. And I still have my pink from before, which I'm going to glaze over the bottom half to bring that more towards a pinky orange and not so much this sort of salmon, pale salmon color. So dry paper, completely dry. Just as I did before, I'm going to get that bead going. Now, I don't want to be fiddling around here. I keep brushing over wet paper. That paint layer underneath is starting to soften, and I may wind up moving my previous layer, which I don't want to do. I just want to add some color on top of it. Okay, right about now I think I'm at the point where I want to start transitioning to the pink color. Need to keep that bead going. It's getting a little dry, so let's get some more paint on there. You see how I'm just making one pass over any given spot on the paper. I'm not fiddling and brushing back and forth and none of this stuff. I really just want to coax that bead down the page. I don't want to disturb the previous layer of paint. So this is how to get a darker wash that's still even. When you try to do a really dark wash all in one go, sometimes you just can't get the paint to flow nicely and you wind up with streakiness, especially with those pigments that are a little on the gummy side, like some of the cobalts and some of the earth colors, Viridian. And just some brands tend to be a little bit gummier. There we go. So let's get that dry. Right now it looks really dark in the middle, but it's not actually. I think that's a trick of the video. So let's get that dry and have a look at what it looks like. Okay, so here is our wash all dry. And you can see now we go from sort of a purple tone at the top to a more of an orangey pink down at the bottom. You'll also notice that along this side I have a little bit of a flaw in my wash. This is a back run or a bloom, and what happened here was I got called away before I had a chance to finish mopping up all that excess water that was accumulating around the edge. So the extra water underneath the tape on this side, after this part dries, some of that water migrated back out and pushed some of the pigment out to make that little bit of a line. If this happens to you, don't panic, because most of the time something as small as this is not going to even be noticeable in finished painting. Right now we see it a lot because it's the only variation in the whole wash, but once you've painted a scene on top of this, this sort of thing just fades into the background. So if you have little inconsistencies in your wash like that, don't let that get you too discouraged. Continue to work on top of them, and you'll find that most of the time you can't even notice it in the finished piece. So now we're going to go on in our next video and use some of these washes to make a simple scene. So I'll see you in the next video, the Kayaker project.